The Spice Route destination on the southern slopes of Paarl Mountain was the venue for the 2024 South African Cross Country and Short Track Championships presented by Balwin Sports. This stunning venue is the latest addition to a growing list of mountain bike venues capable of hosting world-class cross-country and downhill races. It's a working wine farm, but has so much more to offer besides, particularly off the bike. But for the purposes of the first week in May, it was mountain bike racing central. The Friday afternoon saw the short track races taking place on a specially built 600-metre long track that incorporated a pump track that will be used in the future to teach children the delights of mountain biking. The 15 and 16-year-old youth girls race saw 8 riders respond to the starter's whistle. They did 5 laps. Taking the early lead was Nadia van Wyk from the Western Cape. She had KwaZulu-Natal's Madison Bateson on her wheel, with Lumari du Plessis of Mpumalanga in third. Bateson played a patient game of wait and see, and on the final lap put in a big effort to pass van Wyk. A product of Tyrone White's Drivetrain Academy and a learner at Kira Belita, Madison took the youth girls title by just 5 seconds from Nadia van Wyk, with Lumari du Plessis in third. A field of 17 young boys took on the sub-junior boys race over 4 laps. A pair of Western Cape riders from the Granny Gear Academy in Durbanville, Tristan McGibbon and Cameron Murray, blasted away from the rest of the riders. Murray took the early initiative and they opened up a gap to Michael Cadence of Gauteng in third. Murray is homeschooled and showed good form. He took the title after 10 minutes and 14 seconds of racing. McGibbon was 18 seconds back for silver, and Canis took the bronze back to Gauteng. The youth boys race boasted a huge field of 35 riders from all over South Africa. Short track racing is the Sevens or T20 of cross-country mountain biking, fast and furious and great fun. This race turned into an intense battle between 2 riders from KwaZulu-Natal and 1 from the Western Cape. It was full gas racing for all 5 laps. Josh Johnson overcame a poor start to take the early lead. Behind him, a fellow KZN rider, Joshua Paarl, then Neil van der Vyver from the Western Cape and Ruan Kluti from the Eastern Cape. It was super intense with little to choose between the Joshes and van der Vyver. Eventually, it was Joshua Paarl who put in a fastest lap of 2:20 to blow away his rivals and take the win. Josh Johnson was second and van der Vyver took third, another win for the Drivetrain Academy. There was another massive entry in the junior boys race. They did 7 laps of the short, sharp and engaging course built by the Paarl Trails team. Familiar rivals in this age group, Sam Cleary and Omar Wilson, were among the early protagonists as they attacked the climb. Again, the racing was next level. There was nothing to separate them. And the third man in the mix was Andre van Rooyen from the Free State in the colours of Insect Science. For all 7 laps, they were never more than a second apart. Back marker up ahead, they sprinted for the win. It was Omar Wilson from Pietermaritzburg who just got the nod, ahead of Cleary from the Western Cape, with van Rooyen taking the bronze medal. The elite and under-23 women were next. The outstanding rider in the field was Candice Lill, South Africa's most decorated women mountain biker, with a Junior Cross Country World Championship bronze medal, a Senior Commonwealth Games bronze, and a silver in last year's Marathon World Championships to her name. Not to mention, of course, 5 runners-up places at the Absa Cape Epic. Candice is preparing for the Olympics and while also focusing on the World Cup cross-country circuit and the African Championships, so there's a lot on her plate, so great to see her at the Nationals. She's a model professional and a wonderful example for her closest rival over the 7-lap race, 19-year-old Tyler Jacobs, to follow. And that's what she did, because after 5 very close laps, Candice used her experience and her marathon strength to get away and take the win by 9 seconds. The evidence of this, though, Tyler is going to be pushing Candice hard for the top step very soon. Riley Smith took 3rd place.
So it's really special to get any SA jersey. So this means that at least for the short track so far at the World Cups, I can wear my SA jersey with pride, and yeah, it's really special to be able to do that.
There was a similar dynamic in the men's elite race, where the country's top-ranked cross-country racer Alan Hatherley, fresh from 2 third places in the short track and cross-country in round 2 of the World Cup in Brazil, came up against under-23 talent Luke Moyer, who had finished 5th and 6th in the first 2 rounds of the under-23 World Cup cross-country races in Brazil. Both are with factory racing teams, Hatherley with Cannondale and Moyer in his first season with the Cube team. The first 6 of the 10 laps was very close, before Hatherley opened up and began putting time into the 21-year-old. Ernie Roots, just out of the juniors, was hugely impressive, holding on to 3rd place. But the class act was Alan Hatherley, a former under-23 world champion and the overall short track World Cup winner in 2022. The 28-year-old is both a role model for the next generation to follow and a rival for the likes of Moyer and Roots to race against. Hatherley clocked a fastest lap of 2 minutes and 12 seconds and a 10-lap time of 23 minutes and 22 seconds to finish 24 seconds ahead of Luke Moyer, with Roots taking the 3rd place, a minute and a half back. Alan Hatherley will be easy to spot on the short track World Cup circuit in the new national champions jersey. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think as far as preparation goes for Europe, I think it's a perfect test for the legs and shape, and I think that's the most important here, is just using these kind of races for selection for obviously world championships and big events like that. So yeah, perfect test for everyone.
The following morning, the Boerland was doused with welcome rain. Welcome, that is, for the farmers, not so much mountain bikers tackling a tough cross-country track on the normally sandy vineyard slopes of this mountain. Among the early races was the youth boys aged 15 to 16. These young men are highly competitive and hugely committed to the sport. It was fantastic to see a field of 40 take on the challenge of 3 laps of this demanding track. Very quickly, 2 riders emerged as the medal contenders, multiple champion Joshua Johnson from Ballito and KwaZulu-Natal and Neil van der Vyver from the Western Cape. There was not much to separate them on the first lap. Ruan Kluti put in a strong first lap to be in 3rd early on. Henro van der Walt, Luke Lagrange and Corbin van Zyl-Smith were also in the mix. The track varied from tacky to slick to puddles and mud. This really was a test for the riders coming at the end of a dry summer in the Cape. Van der Vyver is a top-class motocross rider and he showed his skill on the jumps as he led Johnson, champion on the road and winner of his age group in the Cape Town Cycle Tour in March. The tall Johnson thrived in these conditions and opened up a gap to Van der Vyver on the 2nd lap. He put 18 seconds into Van der Vyver as the pair stormed away from the rest of the field. Benjamin Fourie held on to 3rd ahead of Ruan Kluti, but they were no match for the speed and class of the leading pair. And it was Josh Johnson who put in a faultless ride in these tricky conditions. He raised his arms in triumph as he collected another national title. His winning margin over Neil van der Vyver was 32 seconds. Fourie was in 3rd, a minute and 4 seconds behind the champion. The junior men's race for the under-18s saw another huge field on the start line. Tense moments ahead of their 5-lap race. The start-finish area was a muddy mess after the early races. A frantic start saw Sam Cleary on the far right find a clean line and surge to the front as they turned into the first hill. His granny gear teammate Johan van Zyl followed his line as they got a taste of the very first steep ascent. This is where the rain was of some benefit, aiding traction. In the dry, this can be loose and very slippery. In 3rd place was KwaZulu-Natal's Omar Wilson, who won the South African Cup race on this very track earlier in the year. Gauteng's Stefan Aldam had made a good start as he led Mpumalanga's Lumat Pienaar. Bjorn van Staden, Aiden Klaassen and Ruan Potweg were next. Joshua Canis from Gauteng, the elder of 2 brothers who race cross-country, was also in the top 10. Sam Cleary, though, was in top form, riding with belief and confidence. He was second to Omar Wilson in the SA Cup race at Taba Trails not too long ago. But in these conditions, the KwaZulu-Natal rider was playing second fiddle. Aldam was hanging on to a top 5 place, with Andre van Rooyen on his heels as they swept through the 600-metre-long pump track and flow trail near the start-finish. The bell for the 5th and final lap. Cleary had a lead of just short of a minute over Wilson, who had just lapped Ethan Mitchell. Wilson had a taste of the big time when he was 58th at the Junior World Championships in Glasgow last year. Johan van Zyl was around a minute behind Wilson in 3rd, sticking to the high, slightly less slippery lines. Van Rooyen, already under the guidance of the Insect Science Pro team, was going well and would eventually finish 7th. But the race was Sam Cleary's. The young man from the Western Cape was all smooth efficiency and class as he celebrated passionately as the new South African junior champion. St Giles School in Pietermaritzburg can be rightly proud of grade 12 student Omar Wilson, as he should be too, taking 2nd place. A good day for the Granny Gear team, Johan van Zyl taking 3rd after his teammate had taken the gold medal. The elite women were next to roll up to the start line. Sadly, a rather small field, just 5 riders, all from the Western Cape. The elite women would tackle 6 laps, and starting just behind them, the 6 under-23 riders would do 5 laps of the track. The Cape morning weather had closed in a bit, and they set off in misty, damp conditions. Just back from the opening rounds of the UCI World Cup, Cadence soon established a handy lead over the rest of the elite women. Leading them up the climb was Charisse Willate, making a rare but welcome appearance in a cross-country race. Behind her, Isla Stowe, Lehani Oosthuizen and Kylie Hanekom. The whistle blew for the start of the under-23 race. A couple of minutes later, and the favourite here was Tyler Jacobs, who had just had a taste of racing at the highest level in the first 2 rounds of the World Cup in Brazil. Her closest challenger was 2023 junior national champion Lillian Baber from Summer Place. They quickly showed their strength on the climb. Behind them, Riley Smith, Kaylee Scholes and Carly Skeepers, as well as Julia Marks. They would fight it out for the 3rd step on the podium. The junior women's field was a dozen strong as they charged up behind the older riders. The juniors would do 4 laps of the track. Establishing herself as the dominant rider early on was Erin Mackridge from KwaZulu-Natal. Candice Lill of Seattle Efort was dialed in, dealing with the natural elements incorporated into the course by builder Darren Herbst of Paarl Trails. Willate was a few seconds behind her, with the super-skilled Isla Stowe in 3rd. Tyler Jacobs has emerged as a major talent in the last couple of years, as she showed in dealing with the rocks. Lillian Baber has good form as well, having won the UCI race in Namibia 2 weeks earlier. Carly Skeepers was in the top 5 at the under-23 race. Jodie McKinnon was in 2nd in the juniors, being chased by determined Carly Janse van Vuren from Limpopo province. Silke Best had put in a strong start. She was in 4th on the first lap. While steady, the rain thankfully was not a deluge. Candice Lill, meanwhile, was busy building a commanding lead in the elite race. 19-year-old Tyler Jacobs doing the same in the under-23 race, showing the form that earned her a superb 6th place in the opening short track race of the World Cup season and 8th in the 2nd round of the cross-country in Brazil a week later. Vastly experienced in all forms of the sport, Charisse Willate holding on to 2nd in the elite race. But closing in her was the super-strong Isla Stowe, who had competed in the Cape Epic in March. McKinnon was holding on to 2nd in the junior race, both she and Janse van Vuren dealing competently with the potentially slippery rocks. Lill was flying solo at the front of the elite race. She'd had a good start to the World Cup season, with 10th in the short track and 16th in the cross-country in round 2, after placing 18th and 27th in the XCO round 1 in Brazil. The Paarl Trails team under Darren Herbst have worked tirelessly to build what is a world-class facility. The cross-country course is complemented by a downhill track at Spice Route. There are 40 kilometres of trail at Spice Route, which connect to the greater Paarl Trail network of over 200 kilometres of trails over 30 different properties. The 4-kilometre-long cross-country Olympic course was designed to give skilled riders a proper challenge worthy of a national championship. The hard work by Darren and his team was certainly vindicated over the Nationals weekend. It's a welcome addition to the growing number of top-class cross-country courses in South Africa and dealt with the inclement weather perfectly. Spice Route has also got plenty of off-the-bike amenities to look after those who have finished riding or are not riding. Complementing the venues around the country is the vital and much-valued support from Balwin Sports, the title sponsors of the SA Championships as well as the National Cup Series. With the huge growth in mountain biking at junior level evidenced by various school series around the country, it goes without saying that a combination of international standard courses and loyal sponsorships is absolutely crucial in providing the next generation with a solid base to build towards racing on the global stage, like both Candice Lill and Tyler Jacobs are doing at the moment. Jacobs was remarkably consistent. Her lap times are between 14 minutes and 37 seconds and 14:52, with the only other sub-15-minute laps outside of Candice Lill.
I think some of my European experiences have definitely helped me for riding in the wet. I think it's just a lot of it's a mindset, and you just have to go and ride your bike. It's no different. Obviously you have to be a little bit more cautious in the early laps just to check how things are, and once you have your lines you can just go. So I think if you embrace it like that, you can actually have a lot of fun in the wet.
Jacobs took the national title by close on 10 minutes from first-year under-23 Lillian Baber, with Riley Smith in 3rd. Lill, the only full-time racer in the elite field, was even more dominant. The Seattle Coffee Efort rider was the only rider to complete the full 6 laps. She did so in 1 hour and 25 minutes. Charisse Willate in the Toyota Specialized colours was in third place, just under 3 minutes behind second place Isla Stowe. Despite a demanding travel schedule, Candice Lill placed huge value on returning home to race the National Championships.
Yeah, I mean, for me, having the SA jersey to be able to race in Europe at the World Cups and other races is really a special honour. And it's also something, as you said, that I get the points, which are really high, and it helps my seeding. So there's a few purposes to come here, and I think in some way it's never a given. You can be the strongest, but things happen in mountain biking, so I'm quite relieved to get both titles. So I'm leaving on Wednesday to go via Morocco and do African champs on my way to Europe for the year, and then I'll be there until end of July after Olympics.
And we'll be looking out for the South African champions jersey in those races all year. The final race on the Saturday was for the men's elite and under 23s. A field of 11 elites would do 7 laps of the 4-kilometre track, with each lap testing the climbing legs to the tune of 160 metres. That's a total of 1,000 metres of climbing in just 28 kilometres. The under 23 race saw 18 riders power away from the start for 6 laps. The weather had cleared, and with sunshine and a stiff breeze, the track conditions would only improve. Marcia Ambrosi started well, but he had Luke Moyer for company up the first climb. There were 2 notable absentees from the start in the elite race. Defending champion Philip Bass was ill, whilst World Cup star and former champion Alan Hatherley was on best man duty at his good friend Craig Boyes' wedding. This left it wide open for a new elite champion to be crowned at the Spice Route as a field of 11 riders charged away for their 7-lap race. A line of 5 riders completed the first lap within seconds of each other. Marco Hubert led Johan van Zyl, Michael Foster, Luca Ruiel and Arno du Toit into lap 2. They were all around 12 minutes for the lap.
Yeah, the rain this morning really made the track a lot better. The juniors definitely moved all the mud and everything away, so the track was running so smooth. There was 0 dust, and it was actually better than it was.
Local man from Wellington, Johan van Zyl, then put in a huge attack. Foster of the Page Eurosteel team responded well. Luke Moyer opened a few seconds of a lead to Ambrosi in the under-23 race. Johan de Villiers was in third, followed closely by Ernie Roots, and Jaden Turlo and Unati Ngumalo. He was in 6th place. Moyer of the Cube Factory team had produced his best World Cup result in the first round in Brazil, where he finished 5th, a remarkable result considering he'd broken his ankle in December. Ambrosi matched him on lap 1, but thereafter had to throttle back at the risk of blowing up very early. The former junior champion Roots was looking good in 3rd. The incentive of adding an elite title to multiple age group national jerseys inspired Johan van Zyl to push really hard early on. Foster, who had a week earlier won the Cup Signage to See stage race alongside Jaden Turlo, was clearly in good form as well. In the green jersey in 3rd was Luca Ruiel. After his fast start in Buco's Marco Hubert was back in 4th. He and teammate Wessel Boert had finished 2nd and 3rd in the Swartberg 100-mile gravel race a week earlier. Insect Science's Arno du Toit was tucked in 6th place. The fight for gold and the treasured champions jersey turned into a fascinating battle between first-year elite Van Zyl, the former under-23 champion, and Foster, who was still an under-23. Foster was content to bide his time, a few seconds off the back wheel of the Toyota Specialized rider. The inside lines were still muddy, but sun and wind had done their job and the high line was firm and tacky. Butamania Cannondale Daniel van der Walt was on a good ride, not far off the top 5 behind Arno du Toit. Moyer continued to churn out super fast laps, ranging between 11 minutes and 24 seconds and 11:53. His fastest lap was just 4 seconds slower than the fastest elite lap by Michael Foster. The Page Eurosteel rider was stalking van Zyl, backing his superior stamina over the 7-lap race. Ruiel was delivering on his potential, while Hubert was working hard to try and catch him. A podium place was the carrot. Van Zyl won the short track national title at Tapa Trails last year. He has immense explosive power. This race was testing his sustained endurance at a high intensity. Foster, who lives and trains on his family's farm near Kopo in KwaZulu-Natal, was backing his endurance-trained legs to match his fast-twitch fibers when it mattered most. Narcissus Dupree of Summer Place was in 5th in the under-23 race. A swift bottle from Dad Mark for Luke Moyer, who had just under 2 minutes on Ambrosi. Lap 5 was the turning point in the elite race. A fastest of the day, 11:20, catapulted Michael Foster into the lead. Van Zyl lost 51 seconds on that lap alone. Luca Ruweel was getting stronger as the race wore on, lapping just a few seconds off the times of Van Zyl. Marco Hubert was around 50 seconds behind Ruweel.
Yeah, so my coach Ben and I had the plan. Well, he actually had the plan. He phoned me this morning, just stick behind the guys, just watch them, and then sort of towards the end, middle to the end, yeah, if they start fatiguing, just go for it. And I decided to go on like the 3rd, 4th lap, I'm not too sure. Yeah, and then suddenly I was away and couldn't see the guys, and I was quite surprised. I thought they would manage to come with. Yeah, but the watts were crazy. I don't know, I just felt super good.
Luke Moyer putting the finishing touches to another high-class race. Moyer won a pre-World Cup race in Brazil and has top 10 finishes in the Cape Town Cycle Tour and the 947 ride Joburg. But this is the discipline he is really firing on. Right now he reigns supreme, the under-23 cross-country champion of South Africa, Luke Moyer. Marcy Ambrosi was 1 minute and 55 seconds behind to take 2nd place. And the under-23 road race champion Jaden Turlo, Pago Eurosteel, took 3rd. The bell for the elites was ringing loudly for Michael Foster. The young man from KwaZulu-Natal used his huge reserves of stamina over the back end of the race to outride Johan van Zyl. Michael Foster added the National Elite Cross-Country title to his signage to sea title a week ago. Congratulations, young man. For the winners, national champions jerseys. Luke Moyer will be wearing that jersey during the under-23 World Cup races this year. We look forward to seeing it at the sharp end, Luke.
I'm ranked 8th in the World Cup standings, so we're a front race start for the next short track race in Novemesto in 4 weeks' time. So, yeah, African champs next weekend. It's going to be tough with Alan again and get some more points, and then we off to Europe.
And Michael Foster dons the champions jersey. Here's hoping he gets the chance to do it justice this year. He's certainly got the talent.
I saw Alan on the start list and I thought, yeah, I've made the worst decision of my life, and then it seems like he wasn't here. So it turned out to be one of the best.
New venue in Paarl. We've never raced here before. We did have a Western Cape event here at Cat 2 a couple of weeks ago. All went very well. Changed the track a little bit, zooged it up, needed to make sure that it was to the level of an SA Champs, and it's been phenomenal. I mean, Darren and his team have done a brilliant job here. Completely different type of riding, especially to the previous year where we were up at Taba Trails at altitude. This time we were down at sea level, and also a major climb. On the first climb, quite a few of those riders took strain, and with the wet conditions we saw a lot of even the older categories, the youth and the juniors, some of them even had to walk up the first climb. Just a different way of doing things, and it's been phenomenal down here in the Western Cape. We've thoroughly enjoyed it, so thank you for having us.